Okay, another lesson on determiners. I'm going to remind you, I'm going to recap some things that I spoke about last time, but I hope you understand that I'm trying to make using these words easier, if anything, because I think that if you understand the different classes of determiners a little better, it will make using the quantifiers much easier, especially in your essays, and that's the best place to practice articles, because very often when I mark essays I find I get very strong students, and the main mistakes are usually articles and prepositions, but articles especially. So I spoke in the last lesson, I said that you won't see these A, B and C together. You won't see these three types of determiners together. You won't say A, that house or whatever, or David's the car. You don't get A, B and C together, but you do get A and D and B and D together. The first man in space, or you certainly use them with articles anyway, first and second, and you can use them with the or a. Usually it will be the, because usually it will be definite. Think about it, is it definite or not? Now the first man in space is one particular man, he's very definite, we all know who he is, but a second chance is a very nebulous concept. You don't really define exactly what you mean by a second chance. It's just one of many chances, and so we say a second chance. The same with a second job. It's not clear what the job is, so it's not definite, and so you can use the indefinite article with first, second, third, with that type of determiner, D. However, with E, next, last, previous, general ordinals, these are called, we would say next week or last year. Basically next or last plus a time expression will be just no article, just next week, last year, and the same if it's this week as well, which would be the one we're in at the moment, this week, and that will be because you can't use this and the together. But there's no article when you're talking about time expressions like week, month, year. However, any other situation there will be an article, and it will be the definite article. It won't be a. I can't think of a time when you say a next what. The next one is always definite because it's the next one. It's not this one, it's the next one. And so the next person, the next few years, it's very definite. Here you've got three determiners together. You've got the, next and few, and then it suddenly gets definite. Even though we're talking about years, we mean the next few years, and so we use the when it's next few years, even though we just say next year with no article. So I hope you can remember that, and I hope that will help you with articles with these two words at least. So remember, it should be the or no article if it's a time expression. Okay, now we're going to talk about quantifiers, because when I was thinking about the quantifiers, I noticed that you're going to use the here. You're not going to really use a. I'll talk about sometimes when you can. For example, I did think of this expression, all of a sudden. So there is a time when I can think of all and of and a and then a noun. But it's really not generally the case. And generally, if you're using these quantifiers, you're going to be saying all of the class. And you're going to be saying both of the students, some of the members, any of the reports. Now, bear in mind here that we don't have to say all of the class. I've put of in brackets because you can say all the class. The same with both. You can say both the students, or both of the students, or both students, okay? So both the students, both of the students. Both is very flexible like that, but they aren't also flexible. If we look at some, we can say some members or some of the members. Okay, we can say any reports. I don't have any reports yet, or I don't have any of the reports yet. So you need to use both of them in the middle or not, but still it's going to be the. It's not going to be a or an. Okay, many of the journalists, this isn't we don't know exactly the number of journalists, we don't know how many, but we're just saying a lot of the journalists, many of the journalists, and again, it's got to be definite. We know who we're talking about here. We're talking about the journalists. most of the time and a lot of the work. So please remember that quantifier plus, I mean, you can use any of these, but if you're going to use a, it's going to be the. All the class, both the students, some of the members. Now, it's not the same for all quantifiers, but it is for these ones I've written here, as far as I can think. Anyway, if somebody can prove me wrong, and maybe I am wrong, and probably am wrong, if you can think of a space where a time when you use one of these quantifiers plus of plus an indefinite article, I'd like to hear about it. Now, I think that you can in some situations. For example, with half, you can say half a kilo, certainly, or half. I'd like half an apple. Sure, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you, as soon as you put of with half, it will be the. I'd like half of the sandwich. I'd like half of that apple. The apple. Okay, so as soon as you use of, it's going to be the again, but you can say half a kilo or half an hour or something like that. Okay, but these other quantifiers are going to be with the when they've got of there. I came down, I wrote a few more down here. Each of the children, if you get rid of and the, it becomes singular, each child. So each of the children or each child. And the same with either and neither. Either of the professors, neither of the professors, but neither professor. Either professor. Yeah, I don't like either professor, something like that. Okay, every student, we don't have of the with every, so I wrote it there. I also put these two, none of the inhabitants, changes a little bit when you get rid of the to just no inhabitants. Okay, but none of the will always be the, as far as I can see. I can't think of it as none of a. Okay, and a great deal of I wrote here just as another alternative to a lot of. It's another good quantifying expression. Now, compare the following two sentences, which are similar to two sentences which I spoke about in another lesson on defining and describing articles. But I want you to pay attention here, because a number of, in this sentence, sentence A, is being used differently than the number of in sentence B. So, sentence A, there have been a number of riots recently. A number of is a quantifier, it's a determiner, and we are saying there have been many riots recently, a lot of riots recently. Okay, we just mean many, we mean a lot of, and it's very non-specific. We don't know how many, we just know that it's a lot, and so we must use the indefinite article. And we use a plural form of the verb. We don't use a singular form, we use a plural form of the verb. And it's because it's many here, it's a lot of. But it's got to be indefinite, okay? It's got to be a number of, not the number of. There have been a number of riots recently. Now look at sentence B. The number of riots is increasing. Now here, we don't mean many riots are increasing, because that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. We don't mean a lot of riots are increasing. Again, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The only way we can make this make sense is by understanding this is not a quantifier, which means many. It's a noun, and we mean the number. We mean the specific number, the definite number, which is why we use the, because it's a definite number now. It's not just many or a lot, it's a definite number, and it has increased. This definite number has gone from 5 to 10 or whatever, so it's certainly a definite number. And notice that with a definite number is one single number, and for one single number we use a singular verb, is. The number of riots is increasing. So this will help you not only choose a or the, but I hope it will also help you choose is or are, have or has, because that's also a mistake which I see quite often in essays. Now, there's a difference between a few, and a little and little. I hope you all know this. This is quite basic. If we say a few apples, we mean some apples. If we say I have few apples or very few apples, it means not enough. So without the a, it means not enough. And we use little for uncountable, yeah? Which means not enough. I've got some other videos on countability, much, many, few, little. Please watch those if you're interested. I'll put a link. Now, another and the other, I hope everyone knows that another is just indefinite. other. That's why it's an. And the other is just definite other. So we can say another few years, or we can say the other few years. We can say another 10 people, we can say the other 10 people. We can say another dozen kilometres, we can say the other dozen kilometres. It all depends whether it's a definite few years, or 10 people, or a dozen kilometres, or an indefinite one. Okay? Both are possible. Lastly, if I've got time, quickly talk about enough. Enough is plus noun. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough coffee. Or my coffee isn't hot enough. My coffee isn't strong enough. My coffee isn't sweet enough. So adjective goes before noun. Okay, if there are any questions about these determiners, please put them under the video. I'll try and make another lesson about these in a few weeks, perhaps, when I've found out some more interesting information about them. I want to say thanks to Will as well, whose website is below, who has done some really good, he's put some really good information up about this, about these topics, and he's got some great other lessons as well, so please go to his website and check him out. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you all soon.